All right, everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of Over the Top TV. I am Curtis Klaschinski out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. Over here we have Riley Miller out of Lloydminster. We have no idea. And we have a special guest today, everybody. We have Dakota Shipton here out of the Red Deer area. And we are looking forward to hearing about you, man. We know you're new to the sport. Know that you actually did very well this past weekend here. You did very well. I was looking at your pictures. And, dude, you're a rock star. I saw video clips. Yeah, man. Looking forward to hearing about you, man. Tell us a little bit about you. Where are you from? How long you been in the sport?
Awesome. Thanks for the introduction. So yeah, I'm Dakota Shipton. I've been doing the sport for about 10 months now. I am from the Red Deer Club now. I originally started out of the Drayton Valley Club for about a month or two. It was the Misfits when I was first there, but now I've just in the Red Deer Club with Matt and them. Super good crew that we got going on there. With that being said, a bit of an introduction to kind of how I got into the sport, I guess, is my dad is Roger Shipton. A lot of people will probably know his name other than my name, just because he's a little bit more popular of a fellow. A couple notable wins for him is Vitali from the Red Deer Club. It's like Jarenko. I don't know how to say his last name, but at
You
Battle Zone
nailed it.
10,
Yeah.
yeah, he got a super match there. And then Dylan Houghton as well. He arm wrestled him at the Breton Bar with a super match. That was a good match, but he ended up squeaking out the win there as well.
Impressive. Very impressive. Now, you mentioned your dad is also in the sport. Is that what got you into the sport, I can only assume?
Yeah, so like to start off, I say 10 months, but generally I've been watching him do the sport for a lot longer. I think the first tournament I ever competed in, I was very, very young. Like I was in the youth division, probably around like 10, 11. Just he was big into it in the pros, and I thought, hey, I might as well compete kind of thing. But I tell people 10 months just because that's when I started seriously training. But to answer your question, yeah, he's what got me into it. I would just go to tournaments with him, watch him kind of thing. And then lately, just as I got a little older and kind of started picking up on it more as my other sports started really going away kind of thing.
Nice. And before we drift too far from that, I have to ask the question I ask everybody. What was that moment where you realized, I want to be an arm wrestler? Because not everybody just comes up with that, right? It seems to be more rare.
Yeah, really the moment for me is when I just started at the Drayton Club and I saw a lot of good guys around there and I realized that the community was really solid. I went to my first tournament. Well, it wasn't a tournament. It was like a little amateur tournament. You couldn't even call it a tournament. There was five guys there. Dalibor hosted it. And I had some really fun matches there. I ended up having a really good match with Brad Prince. We had like a 30, 45-second match, just kind of hung out there. I managed to transition into a press after holding him like this for quite some time. He's a really awesome guy. He was very respectful and everything to me. And after that was when I realized I was like, this is a fun sport. This is something that I want to put more time and effort into because not only did I have good matches, but I didn't win the tournament. So I was right at that point where I'm like, I can improve, but I'm still doing well. So I know there's leaps and bounds to be made in this sport.
Right on.
Yeah.
I feel like that's awesome. Like, that's got to be the motivating factor, right? Like, you go into your first tournament, if you just walk in there and you just floor everybody, it may feel good, but you're not like, well, you're just not motivated, right? You're not motivated to go push further. Like, oh, there's levels I can go a little bit further, right?
Yeah, especially when it's a new sport. Sorry to interrupt you, but I just feel like anytime you do anything new, like even like say you've never played checkers or crib before, you played someone who was like showing you a like I would say that's even a sport, but just showing you a game that's below you, and you manage to sort of beat them at it. You're like, what's the point of me putting any more effort into this because you've been doing it a lot longer than me, and I'm way better than you, right? So it's nice to kind of be at that in between point where you know that you're not the best because obviously the goal for everyone is to be the best or be better. And so when there's something to work towards, I feel like that helps a lot.
Very good, very good. And so training, you train with Red Deer Club, so that means you're training with Matt Mask and all them boys.
Yes, I am.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, honestly, when people say they're jealous, I can't even be like, don't be, because I feel everyone should be jealous. I think Red Deer Club is probably, well, this is my personal opinion for being there. I think it's the best club in Red Deer. We have so much like diversity there. We got everything from Matt to guys who are just coming. You can really find a skill level there which you can be close with, or you can find someone who's way better than you who can show you a ton of different things. And then the best part about that is you get so much better so fast that when new people start showing up, all of a sudden you realize you're in that position where it's like, wow, I'm showing this guy a thing or two that I was once shown. And I really think it's beneficial to be a teacher as much as a student, because sometimes when you have to teach something to someone, you realize you maybe taught it wrong, or that you don't exactly understand it fully, and then that really helps you learn even more.
Very good, very good. You know, you're very well spoken. I noticed you're very well spoken.
Thank you.
Deep thinker. I can tell this is going to be a good interview already. This is great.
Perfect.
No, no, that's really good, man. And then for all the people out there that don't know you, what weight class do you pull? Are you going to nationals? Like, what's up for you, man?
So right now, it's nationals is tough. I'm just coming off of my first year of college, and so I'm trying to find a job right now that kind of fits my career, which I'm in the pharmaceutical technician career. So I'm trying to find a job in that sense. And so I'm not booking anything for nationals until I get a job, just because I know usually when you get a job, you can kind of get the days off and manage. But I like to have one thing set before I double book myself, and then I end up not being able to get my money back for a flight or something silly like that. I'll definitely be at the Alberta Provincials coming up in May here in Grand Prairie. Looking forward to make the trip for that, kind of see how I do. It's an open class. There's no amateurs.
Cool.
I am an amateur puller right now and kind of getting ready to make that jump into pros. So I'm excited to do an open class just to see kind of where I sit in that tournament as a whole, because it's going to be a mixture of a little bit of everything from everybody that your weight class is. With that being said, I weigh about 200 pounds right now. The cap here in Alberta is 198. It goes 176 to 198. I can make that no problem. I've been doing lots of sports, and I feel like I'm really connected with my body in that sense. So it's really easy for me to kind of cut a few pounds, gain a few pounds. I could eat anything I wanted right now, and I stay at 200. It's really hard for me to get over 200, so it's quite easy if I just clean up the way I'm eating a little bit to make that 198 no problem.
And how old are you?
I'm 21.
21. Okay, yeah. There's
Yeah.
the ability to lose any weight you're trying to
Yes.
put on. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. I
Exactly.
remember that well. And how tall are you?
I'm 6'3" in shoes, probably like barefoot standing. I would be 6'2", I would say. So I'm lean, like tall and lean enough that like I can kind of haven't filled out yet. I would say. I think definitely going down the line, I will bump up into that 225 weight class. My dad is a super heavy puller. He's about an inch, not quite an inch shorter than me. We're pretty similar in height, but he's definitely a big filled out dude. He walks around at like 300 pounds. So if I end up anything like him, I'll definitely be super heavy down the line, but I'm going to try and stay as light as I can for as long as possible. So
Nice. So with the height, you must have some levers. So I'm gonna guess top roller.
yeah, yeah, you guessed it. I am
Nice.
very confident in the length of my arms. I love top rolling. One thing about the Red Deer Club though, actually, is when I started going there, it's really complicated to find your position with them just because they're so much better than you. I have been going inside a ton there. It's really helping me kind of gain confidence in the hook, I would say. But I am a top roller. I do like the top roll.
Nice.
And then it's nice too because if I'm like, we'll use Caleb for an example because I know he was on this podcast. If I'm arm wrestling Caleb and I tell him I want to work on something with the top roll, he'll give me the position I need to work on it. But if it were just kind of like going, it's really hard for me to find that. So I have been experimenting with the hook a little more lately.
Good job.
But I'm not quite there yet. Where even you saw probably my Stronghold videos.
I did.
I always go to that top roll. I really like to. I will hook if I get drug in there and like I know what I'm doing, but
Nice.
I don't like it too much right now. So
Yeah, you and me will get along just fine. Right on. So for all our subscribers, as they know, Riley is definitely the more organized of the two of us. So I'm sure he has a laundry list of questions he's begging to ask you here.
Oh yeah, not a problem. We're rolling along nicely here. You mentioned that like, you got the young metabolism and you're a top roller and everything like that. And um, do you find that you get to train your hook decently at practice? Like I know Matt's a top roller and Caleb, I'm not sure what he seems like a fairly versatile guy, but I know that if you say, hey, I want to work on my top roll, he'll just take it as an opportunity to work on his cup, right?
mhm.
But when you do want to do some hook training, who do you generally train with in Red Deer for that? Was it like Fraser or?
Yeah, Fraser's really good. He's actually doing his next level coaching. I'm sure you've seen it on his thing. So he's usually busy with that. Whenever he's at practice, I try and grip up with him though. I have been trying to go to that coaching he has going on lately, just because I feel like it's a really good opportunity to get some one-on-one time with a really high level puller like him. Um, but with that being said, back to the question, when I'm at the club, really, I will hook train with almost anybody. Um, Pretty much all the guys that are really, really consistent are quite a bit stronger than me. So if I'll just shoot inside and they'll really just let me kind of red line until I can't anymore. Just get that burn on there. With that being said, when there are guys there who I am at a decent level with, we'll work on top rolls, but it comes to slips quite a bit. And then we'll either strap up or I'll usually just be like, hey, like we're about even strength in that top roll. We're going to slip out. Is there any chance you want to just dig inside and work on some hook training? Um, Especially personally with myself, I've been doing that top roll long enough where I'm really confident outside. I really have been kind of working on just getting my whole shoulder bicep frame connection as a whole and get more side pressure. Because even I feel like if you're an outside puller and you can get that side pressure up, it just helps with that top roll hit that much more. Because I feel really confident when I go back. Like I have a really good lats, and I've been working out consistently since like grade 11, just doing not arm wrestling specific lifts, but just lifts to make you a better athlete or in general. And so when it comes to like focusing on specific muscle groups, I feel really confident in that sense. So I like to work on that side pressure hook inside, and then I can really translate that to an outside side pressure as well.
Right on. Yeah, like that's something I wanted to ask because I know Curtis and I are kind of similar. We favor the top roll and we're kind of working on our hook, and we started the whole, top roll Tuesday, hooker Friday kind of thing. So we're
Okay.
only allowed to hook on one practice and we're only allowed to top roll on another. And it seems to be working good. I know you guys are a little bit taller, so you can kind of rely on your lever in a real match. Sometimes I just
Yeah.
can't. I'm a little shorter. I have to dive in with some guys. So that's something I'm really, really working on. Um, but do you guys do anything similar to that, or?
I think it's all personal for everybody there. You can definitely
Yeah.
tell. Caleb, again, another prime example of that is you know kind of what day it is for him. He'll pick certain people when he's pulling, and he'll shoot inside. Or today's I'm going outside day, kind of. And you can. It's not like a club decision to be like, yo, let's all hook today. But more or
Yeah.
less, you can kind of definitely tell, especially when you grip up with someone who's just better than you because they get you in the position they want to, right? And so that's usually what it
Yeah.
is. Have you guys ever tried wrist wrestling? This was a really popular thing that I saw my dad do a couple times. Like it was back when I was like 10. I used to watch him do that. It's you just instead of like actually gripping up, you just lock wrists, and then it all it does is it
Okay.
basically is an example of the deepest hook you can get into when you're gripped up with someone, and it's just all your muscle. It's not really hand as much, but you definitely, when you try to open your wrist at the end from just having it cupped in so much and just going straight down with that pressure, you actually notice it quite a bit. It's an exercise that when people are working on their hook, I just suggest it, not all the time, something you do maybe once a week with someone you're at even strength with, or I did it with Sean Crowther, another guy from our club, for example. I just get him to hold, and I just lock my wrist with his, and I just red line until my arm's burnt. I like to do that as a burnout at the end. I like to leave practices not being able to lift my arms above my head. So
That's a good goal. Yeah,
yeah.
we do that as well. We call it power pulling.
Okay.
So we'll just, yeah, like you said, wrist to wrist, lock it, and then just both guys lean out. We typically do it at the end as well. Just like you mentioned, we do it usually when your hand's so blown up it doesn't work right anymore. So
Yeah, yeah,
speaking
for
of that
sure.
leaving with nothing left, yeah, very much follow that same principle most times. Though every third or fourth practice, I will not go to that level of failure. And I've also noticed benefits from that because I've done it a few times and I've noticed benefits from not going to failure. Todd Hutchings was talking about some of that too in some of his videos about not going all the way to failure every time. So I try to follow that and it has been helping. But we do it at the end of practice. We go, yeah, we will power pull sometimes and then burn right out. And then we had someone from another club show up and tell us about doing like a cool down pull right after that, where you're just going really light resistance, kind of back and forth, kind of like a warm up, a little more dug in, but that that light pressure back and forth, hook, top roll as a cool down, and I noticed that's helped with recovery as well.
Okay. Yeah, so I do something similar, just instead of with another person. When I get back home after practice, I'll just grab a band and I call it my reliever, I guess. And I'll just do that. I'll do a couple pronation, a couple rising, a couple inside kind of this way, just with the band. And I just imagine all the pain leaving my arm. It doesn't actually happen, but I pretend it does. So,
Nice, brilliant, man. That's smart. Way to go.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah, the mind can do a lot. It's all up here, right?
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah. You
100%.
mentioned
Especially
I'll start with that. Yeah, I'll keep going.
No, I was just gonna say, especially when you look at the big pullers, like the really really good ones. When you look at any of
Yeah.
them, they always have that belief up there whenever they do anything. So I think the mind's very important.
Oh, exactly. It's so
Oh yes.
crucial. You mentioned
Perfect.
Brad Prinz earlier there, mini Stone Cold, Steve Austin.
Yeah,
That's what he looks like.
yeah,
Super good dude. Like, and he's solid. Like, I've been on the after table with him. He's really, really strong.
hmm
Who are some other the like really good competitors that you've competed against, or some just notable ones that you
yeah.
maybe have enjoyed pulling against?
Notable one, most recent from the tournament on Saturday. I ended up losing to him right arm. For getting silver there. Dominic Kissick from Buggy Arm Wrestling. He's uh he's got a really nice top roll. It's kind of I when I look at it, I look at it as where I kind of want to get to. He kind of does exactly what I enjoy, so I really look up to his move and what he does. So I always say he's a notable puller just because it's almost like he does what I do, but a little better. So I want to get there. Brad would be the second one. Obviously, I already brought that up. I always nice to say hi to him when I see him, and we always have a couple good matches when we do get to grip up with each other.
Nice.
Third one, I don't know if I've actually had a tournament pull with him before, but Mason DeRossi. Whenever I grip up with him, whether it be at an after pull or anything like that, he is always just really, really strong. He killed it on Saturday. He ended up beating Neil Looker, Jason T-Bach, some very notable Alberta names. Beat him right and left hand. He didn't lose that whole tournament. He looked really solid. I didn't get to see him at the after pull, unfortunately, but I did get to warm up with him, and he feels crazy strong. He's always working something. I know he's never taken a break, and he's always busy with his father Scott there. And whatever they got going on, they're doing it right. So
Nice. Right on. Right on.
yeah, it's good.
Uh, no, that's good. Now you obviously take training very seriously. Sounds like you have that. You're on a good track from what I can tell, from what I've heard so far. Now that covers the training end of things, and anyone who's into sports knows that to make like gains in sports, consistent gains, you need a few things. You need that proper training, that quality training. You need sleep, and you need water, right, and nutrition. So are you on top of those things? Do you take nutrition seriously? Because it sounds like you've put a lot of thought into your training.
Yeah. So Easter was just came, so obviously I let myself go a little bit. Had some nice family time and stuff there. But I kind of look at it. you know how Devon talks about you kind of peak and then you go down after that? That's really
Yeah.
how I look at a lot of my training and everything. Even like when I was doing the school exams, I study so that on test day I am at my peak for knowledge. And then if you were to quiz me the day after I had to write a quiz, I would probably be 20% worse just because I study for a peak. When I hit that peak, I'm ready and then I lay off. And I really like to do that with my training and nutrition and everything. So I'm not like eating like terrible right now by no means. I still like my chicken, rice, those kind of things. Um, but I'll definitely let myself have a couple more snacks, maybe have ice cream here and there, the odd thing. And then coming up to provincials, we're almost getting to 2 weeks out, so that's when I really start locking things up. Just because for me, with the I only have to drop 2 pounds. That's really all I need to kind of do it slowly and progressively. That's when I'll wake up and I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna have a salad and an apple in the morning. Then a little snack before I hit the gym. Come back. Usually, I like to have big meals after the gym. I like doing the gym on a little bit of just like not even an empty stomach, I'd say, but only having a few light healthy things. Have my big meal before bed. I'm a big yogurt guy before bed. I really just like having a lot of yogurt before bed. Probably an unhealthy amount, to be honest. But yeah, and then I just go to bed and repeat. And I only drink water. That's a fun thing about me. I do not drink pop. Uh, I'll have an iced tea here and there, but I like my iced tea really light. It's basically like badly flavored water almost. Um, on competition days, I'll have a Gatorade, but other than that, I'm pretty much a strict water guy. I don't really need to drink anything else. I remember when I was in grade nine, I made that transition just to try it. I actually made a bet with one of my buddies. We decided to do only water for 9 months.
Oh,
And I was just surprised with the results at the time. Like I was obviously when you're going through that, you're starting to fill out, you're starting to lengthen out, and you're still getting taller and stuff. But I lost like 10 pounds of fat just from because I was drinking like a pop Pepsi every day or something like that, and
okay.
just cutting that out, I noticed how insane it was. And I actually try and I don't really push it on people because people can do whatever they want. But when people tell me how do I make the steps to being healthier, I usually tell them, well, you can kind of stay eating how you are, but try cutting out the sweet drinks because you'd be surprised how much sugar is in an energy drink or a pop. So
Well done. Well said. So to stay on that same theme there, are you using any supplements?
for supplement wise, I actually have create. You can see it behind me. There's creatine, but it kind of I haven't done enough research on it. Something I need to look more and more into. And I've heard here and there that you have to kind of change the way you look about your exercising and stuff when you take creatine. So it's been a thought, but I don't personally take it right now. And then other than that, for supplements, I'll have a protein shake when I come back from the gym, just because I like the protein shakes, kind of chicken somewhere in there, keep that protein up to build that muscle. Other than that, that's really all I take. I have a multivitamin which I take, just like the one pill multivitamins that I got from one of the supplement stores, and then that's all I take. So
Oh yeah, keep it pretty simple.
yeah,
I I also take creatine. That's really besides protein powder, and occasionally I use pre-workout. But I like the creatine. That has been helping me keep up with the workload on the muscles that we kind of go through at practice. And the creatine's helped a lot. One thing I noticed with the creatine though is that it'll almost hinder me if my water intake isn't high enough. So if you're gonna do creatine, like really jack up your water intake, like to an amount where even you're sick of water. But
okay.
yeah, jack it up because that's just part of the process and how it actually works is it uses the water to flush the muscles and stuff. So yeah,
Okay.
man, if you do try it, all I can say is up your water for sure.
Yeah. No, and another thing, I don't know if it's true that I've heard with creatine is you do tend to like from drinking so much water gain a little bit of water weight almost all the time as well,
You,
right?
yep. If you're gaining water weight, you're doing it right.
Yeah, yeah, and see, that's another thing is like I think I'll maybe switch to that creatine when I am finally like, okay, I'm just gonna move up to the 225 class, just that way I don't have to kind of have another. It's not wouldn't even be that big of a worry, but another thing that I have to maintain for keeping this weight I'm at. So
Yeah, it might be a good idea, especially if you're flirting with that weight class limit already.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm definitely thinking about it. It's just something that's like, we'll see. Right now, I'm still young. I got lots of time to experiment with all that stuff. So yeah,
Very, very nice. And a big part of this show is, I know I mentioned it to you before the show, but we at Over the Top, when Riley and I have these shows, we really make it's your show. It's not our show anymore.
yeah,
We want the arm wrestlers out there to get recognition from the newer guys like yourself, to guys who've been doing it forever. Just get other names out besides the top 10 in the world. You know what I mean? Everyone knows the name Ryan Espy, and everyone knows the name Matt Mask, and everyone knows the name Devon Larrett. Like, we
yeah,
get it, and it's awesome, and we all love them, and we all watch them. But it's nice to know, about other guys that aren't those guys, and see who's out there, and let people from other provinces see who they might be facing at nationals or at a big event. And I know, so part of this is feel free to ask us questions or bring up topics, man. We'd love to talk about anything with you. So yeah, let's get a
yeah.
feel for who you are, big guy.
Okay. Well, one topic I would like to bring up, and this just kind of to arm wrestling community in general, is I think that we need to start taking. I know we all take our sport seriously, but I think we need to get ready to take it to that next level. When you talk to anybody who doesn't arm wrestle or doesn't do it as a sport, they really look at it as a hobby. You know what I mean? So I would say just in general that if you want to make it a serious sport where we can look at like our top guys like Devon, Ryan, Levon, all those guys, they're at the tipping point where they can make it a full-time thing. And that's good for them. But we have so many people out there who probably we haven't even seen their full potential just because I feel like the sport sometimes isn't always taken to the level it could be, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's just one topic I wanted to bring up because I think when we start getting to that point where we can have people doing it full time, putting all their effort and time into it, like an NBA player or an NFL player, we can really see those leaps and bounds in the sport. And I think people will start taking it a little more seriously. I'm sure you guys have had it. You talk to someone about it, someone who doesn't know. They make a joke about it. They just kind of brush it off as something funny. And it's like, that might be funny to you, but like there are actually people out there who take this super seriously and look at it as the same as any other sport, right? So yeah, that's just kind of like my request I would say to everyone who sees this is just remember to kind of let people know that it is a serious thing, that it can be made more serious. An example of something I try to do to show that is at my old high school, very, very small school, I graduated with somewhere around 15 people in my grade 12 class, like tiny, tiny. But my dad and I will sometimes try and have seminars in there and just show kids. Because if you're a kid in high school, you don't really even know it's a sport unless you know someone who does it, right?
Right.
Whereas like it'd be so awesome if we could get to the point one day where this sport is like boxing and you can go to a university, you can get a scholarship for it. It's a big league. Like I know for some people that sounds crazy. It's like, oh yeah, but like there's definitely possibilities for that kind of thing. And I think it's just kind of the right people doing the right things. There's definitely a lot of people on the right track, but I think there's a lot of people who don't really speak up enough about it. And that could show it to more people, get it more popular, and then we can have that kind of thing. Like if we went out east, like I was talking to Matt about this at one practice, he said like it's way more popular out there. Like people just love the sport. It's like all around. And like I don't see why that can't be something that's out here. I'm sure if every single person, like, even within Alberta and Saskatchewan knew about it, it would be way more popular just by showing it to people, right? So,
Right. So,
yeah.
so while you're bringing it up, what is, one other thing people could do? What's one thing people could maybe easily do that would really help promote the sport? So I know you're, the younger generation stuff, so more into that tech, more familiar with tech than some. So what's maybe something someone could do that can bring that awareness to the sport without having to learn a whole thing from scratch, and what they might not do.
Well, the first thing I would say is just like social media in general. For example, my dad competed for however many years Facebook was around, never made it even a clear thing once that he competed. This last tournament, he actually ended up getting first in the Masters 200 plus, which gave him the opportunity to challenge Big Len Houghton from Lethbridge for the
Yes.
Masters title there. That's going to be going down July 16th at the next Stronghold Biker Night. It's going to be a good thing there. But back to the question, yeah, like post stuff, make people know, show people it's a thing. Um, a really good club that does it actually that I follow on social media is Vancouver Arm Wrestling Club.
Yes.
They're always posting something. They have that one guy there, I forget his name, but he went viral on ESPN. He posted a video. He was arm wrestling guys like double his size, and he was just low hand top rolling them, and then they had nothing for him and things like that that just show people. Showing people is definitely the number one thing I would say because yeah, you're gonna have the critics, you're gonna have the people who laugh and don't take it seriously, but you're gonna have those people who are like, "This is cool. I want to find more out about this," right? And so I think
Dalabor's got something really good going on there with his Stronghold Arm Wrestling League. He's made it able to share all his posts and everything. He always posts something, keeps everyone up to date. And I think it's just little things like that that once everyone gets doing it, it really grows the popularity of the sport and it gets everything going. And another quick thing I'll just bring up is like TikTok, for example. A lot of people look at it and think it's just like a funny app that people post funny stuff on, but there's a lot of serious stuff on there, and it's one of the best ways to kind of spread content. It has a great algorithm. If you look more into it, it's insane how it just finds people who have the same interests as you.
Yeah, man, you were telling me about TikTok before
Yeah,
the interview, and it was very informative, man. There's a lot
yeah,
to it. I definitely saw it as just the funny app with the funny videos.
yeah.
But yeah, you showed me the potential there, and I can see where if you throw some clips together, why not? Why not throw some small clips in there, especially if it's going to help that whole arm wrestling search, criteria algorithm. Why not?
Exactly right, and it just sees more people, and I think that's very important. So.
That's great advice. Yeah. So what else you got for us, Dakota?
Oh man, so many topics. I'll talk a little bit just about kind of for all pullers as well. Another thing is if you're thinking about arm wrestling, maybe not in the province you're in, but traveling, always keep in mind that there's different rule sets wherever you go, and anything can be different. Um, my number one suggestion for that is when you practice as close as you can to how you would compete. Yes, there's going to be times when you're not doing the moves you want to compete with and you're working on a little bit of everything. But for the main part of it, I would say, wherever you go, you're going to have your move that you're good at and you're going to know the general basis of the rules. So just kind of keep yourself in mind of that. The reason I'm saying this is I went to PAL in Vegas. The rules were generally the same, but they were a lot more strict on a few rules. For example, squared shoulders there for some reason was like their number two thing. I guess elbows was probably number one. But if your shoulders were not square, even by a little bit, they would tell you to square and square. I got my shoulders squared up probably 10 times before one match started, and
Wow.
then they gave me a warning. Like that's how strict they were with that. Whereas like here, I feel like it's kind of just square your shoulders and then you can sag a little bit almost. It's not their main priority. That's just one example, I think, of different places, different refs look at different things. So just do everything you can, generally as close as you would to a match, and you'll be fine. And don't ever be afraid to travel to do it. I had a blast in Vegas. I got two fourths. There was like 13 competitors. I was so happy with how I ended up doing. Never thought I would do that good, but sometimes you can surprise yourself. So always think for the best in those situations. It was a great event in general. Another thing though, just on top of the rules, is like the elbow pads here are really squishy. So when you kind of move your elbow up or when you post, your elbow really stays on the pad. Whereas there, like the elbow pads were basically concrete almost, I would say. And if you did any little bit of movement and your elbow happened to catch that leather because you didn't chalk the pad good enough, it was a hop, and they were watching it. It was almost an instant foul and restart because there was no running fouls either. So yeah,
That'd be weird. I've pulled on a table once before that had really hard elbow pads, and man, I definitely would never want to never want to train with that. Like you think you take all kinds of abuse into your bone structure at the bottom of your elbow, but like at the same time, you're supposed to practice how you're competing. So that'd be real. That's a tricky one. Hey, like I don't
it
even
is
know
a
how you get
tricky one.
around that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
even
almost like arm wrestling on a bar countertop. Like I used
yeah,
to do that all the time, but now being an arm wrestler, just hearing what Devon says all the time, like just put a sweater down or something, it's
Sweater.
just horrible
yeah,
for your elbow, you know?
yeah. That's what them pads needed almost was a sweater on top. That's how bad they were. But I mean,
No.
that's just probably what they're used to, right? And the thing is, you can't even be upset about it because that's probably what they do all the time, right? That's just how the tables are down there. So it's something you can't even complain about, really. Um, it was definitely interesting though because I think, well, Ryan Espy was pretty dominant in his super match. You guys probably seen that against Michael Todd. It was pretty dominant. But I would say even with Fraser's match, Fraser had the first super match there. I've noticed a lot of people haven't really brought that one up, but I want to give Fraser credit. He did get beat 6-0, but I think that match entailed a lot more than the scorecard said. Um, he was just slower off of the start, just by a touch. He was even strength. He would just catch him like about here almost, and he just didn't have enough to kind of bring it back. But he did really well. He I know he wasn't too happy. He was telling me afterwards because, of course, he's been doing it forever. But I think he did really well, and I was happy to see him compete down there. That's one of them matches. I think if you go up with Fraser and Sean Hancock, the guy who ran the tournament, and you make them pull again, you could see a whole different match. Um, Other than the SB match, those other two super matches, Matt and Tim, Fraser and Sean, I think you run those back and we could see a whole different story for both of them. Matt had a game plan. He wanted to kind of start a little bit like this, go over like this, get that palm of Tim's opened up just enough. Didn't end up working out for him. He ended up switching, I think it was round 3 or 4, to just doing his low hand move where he just comes up and over. And it had really great success. And I think that was just a matter of a lot of combined factors. But I think same thing at the end of that match, Matt was ready, looked like he was ready to go about 10 more rounds. And Tim looked like he was starting to get pumped up and burnt out. And I think we run that match back and you can see a whole different story. I hope if any promoters or anything do see this that have that ability, that they would give Matt that rematch. Tim seemed like a really stand-up guy, a really great guy. I think he would be willing to take it again. Obviously, if he gets a better offer, I'm sure he will take it. Why wouldn't you, right? That's just the way of the way it works. But I think that super match could definitely happen again, and it would bring in a lot more viewers, especially with the little bit of controversy I know that's been going on. You see it kind of just on Facebook and stuff. I think it would bring in more viewers, especially if it was ran again and a little differently.
Absolutely. That Fraser match, that's a good example of one that's, he's not as well known, so he did not get the coverage. Like all the other videos, you can see copies of them and clips and
Hmm.
highlights and discussions. And it was like, because he's not one of the biggest names, he doesn't get any chatter, right? And it's too bad
Yeah,
because when I finally did find footage of that match, that was a war, man. He was a warrior in that. And he didn't give up. That was awesome. Yeah, I enjoyed that match. I watched it several times.
yeah. Funny you said that because I actually had like a realization after that match, especially when I noticed that it did not get posted. Like unless you got that pay per view and watched it, or like you can find it. And so that's a reason why I think I'm gonna start just filming those kind of matches because
That'd be awesome.
it's good for Fraser to look back on. It's good for Sean to look back on. It's good for people to see that kind of. I noticed that on social media, and it's been like this since social media came out. But social media, you only see the best of the best for people. Whether it be like a personal profile, they're posting their best. They're not posting them at their worst or when they're having a bad day. Same with the arm wrestling, and I get that you want to get people out there, but that match was, although it was 6-0, it was a war, and it was a match that could definitely get a lot of people into the sport. I'm not trying to take away from Ryan and Matt's matches by no means. Like, those are big names. They're great guys. But I think you got to give credit where credit's due to Fraser and Sean. Sean for sure, because obviously Sean got the win out there. But they had a good war, and a lot of people probably haven't even heard of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, well said, man, for sure. Yeah, couldn't agree more. I watched all those matches. Great matches, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but good insight on that, and I'm sure that match will happen again. I mean, seems inevitable. Neither of those guys are going anywhere anytime soon, I'm sure. So.
No, exactly. Yeah. Well, I know Matt's got he's a little busy coming up with East versus West 3. He's got Prunik with the right and then Morozov with the left.
Yes.
I haven't looked too much at the card yet, but I know Michael Todd's there as well competing. Like, there's a lot of polars from the West who have some good matches. I think it's going to be really good recognition, kind of give us a little bit better idea on those world rankings and where like the East versus West people actually entail. So.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts on Mask versus Prunik? I gotta know. That's a big match, man. That match is no joke.
Yeah. You know what? I think Matt got a little bit of with the Tim match. I think he kind of got that. I haven't competed since COVID kind of thing. Since it's been a while since he's had a couple in a row competition like that. So I think he got kind of everything figured out. It's really tough to say, obviously. Sometimes those East guys show up and they just dominate. But then we saw with Dave Chafee and Credetia that sometimes the West will surprise you.
Oh yeah.
We got a lot of good pullers out here, and there was a little bit there where East, it was that Armours event, and then the East versus West where East was really pulling out a lot of wins. But I think Dave Chafee reminded everybody that we're right there. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I always got my money on Matt. Matt's a great guy. As much as he doesn't really take the role of coach at the Red Deer Club, I'd say he's a great coach. He always is teaching guys everything. He has all the events. Well, I guess practice is not really events at his place. And yeah, I hope Matt can squeak out a win. I have faith in him. With that being said, it's really hard to see. I know he's going to be really, really focused on that right-hand match. And I think with his left, he's going to just get it to peak performance, and he's going to kind of see how it goes with that one. So
nice.
I think he's playing it smart with that. Like, I seen just today, he's not pulling Rick Heidebrick before anymore, is he?
No.
Like, he's pulled out of that match because he's playing it smart. And I mean, Rick, I got to say Matt would win that for sure, but Rick's still strong enough to damage something potentially and screw that match up, right? And like you said before, Matt's one of those guys who we don't know what his potential is, because to him, I feel like it's a hobby. Like, that dude works a lot. Mm-hmm. You know, like, we don't know what his potential is because to him, it's kind of just a hobby, right? He's kind of like RVJ.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, like I think when you look at it, it's like Matt's one of those competitors, like the many of them, where he's almost at that tipping point, but he's just not quite there yet. And I think it really is unfortunate for a lot of the pullers who are at that level, because, like, I mean, if you give Matt money and you say, Matt, you arm wrestle and you get really good and you train, you still get time with your family, you still get time to do the things you like, but maybe you don't have to work anymore because that's all covered. He is going to shoot through the roof because he is already insane and he works all the time. He's very family oriented. Like, he puts them first. That's something you got to respect about the guy. Like, he will put them before anything. And that's great. And just another example of, like, it's wanting to see what their full potential can be. It's just hopefully one day that can become sustainable for them, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, speaking of training, I didn't want to miss an opportunity to ask you, because everybody does it a little different. What are you doing for training on your own? So you're training with a club, I'm guessing, once or twice a week.
Yep.
And then what are you doing on your own? Are you using any special arm wrestling handles? Are you using any special tools? I'm really curious to know, man.
I thought you were going to ask that, so I actually put my handles up to the side here. I'll kind of talk about what I like to do, and then I can show. But I have behind me is this pulley system. I'm going to make a video on that. I got to get a YouTube going myself, but when that gets up, maybe I'll do it on Facebook first. I'll tag you guys and give a rundown of the cable system. It's pretty much just a double pulley system where you can work on your side pressure, your cup, your pronation, everything like that. It's just a half table. It can become a full table if you were wanting to actually do some one-on-one training with someone, but it's just a half table right now just for pulley system for training. But for handles, I have this. It's just a fat grip. Oh, it's just a fat grip on the which goes
Nice.
on the end. And then I just can do my cupping like that. I can do my side pressure, work my hook, really anything like that. I use one of these arm bed straps from Devon's
Nice.
website, or sorry, belt, not a strap. My bad. One of the belts. I put weight on the end. You can do. You just watch Devon's videos. He goes over all his exercises. I do all of them. Devon is definitely the guy I look at when I look at training. When I first started, he was the first one I really started watching on YouTube and got into. So I really adopted his training style. You can kind of, even when I talk about the peak things, I really try and do that how he does, just because I think it is an effective method. I don't think you'd be 100% all the time, but I think you can even work up to being maybe 105% for a very short time if you do it properly. So, yeah. And then actually I got to shout out Mason and Scott one more time. He 3D prints these end handles actually.
Does.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
I have the same one, but in green.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
You know,
that's just finger pressure and whatnot, right? And so that's a really good one as well.
I gotta give credit to Scott. He hooked me up. He even sent me a design for another handle that I can 3D print myself. I told him I'd never share with anybody, and I never will. I'm true to my word. But he did give me a design so I could print it on my 3D printers and be able to use it myself. So straight
That's
up shout
awesome.
out to those guys.
Yeah.
And my handle is put up with all kinds of abuse, and not so much as a crack. Like he uses really good filament and everything. That's a quality handle, and the steel's perfect.
Yep. And then to keep going on with those handles and this pulley system, I like to train every day. I don't always go 100% every day, but on practice days is when I'll really go hard with just the guys, and I'll get my arms really worn down. The day after, maybe 2 days after, I'm really sore. I just run through the motions, do a little time on the table to kind of work, just to kind of get myself where I feel I need to be in order to kind of make that jump into that pro division. And then the days I'm feeling good, I maybe don't have a practice for 2 or 3 days. Okay, I'm putting some weight on there. I'm going to go through the exercises just to build myself up. I try and improve. I don't really do rep maxes or kind of monitor my weight yet. I'm just still in that building up phase, I feel, for everything. Eventually I'll kind of start monitoring and writing down to try and improve, maybe, twice a month, somewhere in there. But right now I just really let my body do the talking, because I think a lot of the start is tendon buildup. And I think I need to get my tendons to the point where they can allow my muscles to grow. So if maybe one day I'll be doing, 25 pounds, as many as I can. And then the next day I'll feel great. Okay, well, I'll throw another, 15 pounds on there. Then I'll try the 15 a day after, and nope. Then I'll try the 25, and oh, I'm sore today. Nope, it's just a 10-pound kind of day, right? It really varies. I try not to ever be hard on myself about that right now. Eventually I'll be a little more strict in that sense, but I think right now it's just build up, slowly getting to the point where I can have enough endurance and enough strength to do it for a little bit and not be like too crazy burnt out or anything.
Yes. Right on. Hey, and what else you got for us?
For training, you mean?
Yeah, or even handles. Do you have any more handles, or is that kind of that's what you?
Well, Sean Blurton actually made this pulley system for me. When I was first training out of Drayton, he was still doing it a little bit. Him and my dad used to go compete all the time, like 90s, 80s, like all those. Like they've been friends for a long time. And so he actually designed like 5 of these and then ended up deciding to stop doing them. He sold a few of them. I think he actually might have sold all the 5 ones he made. I know Matt has one in his shop. He really loves it. But I'm sure if we bugged him enough and I bugged him, I could get him making them again. But right now, he's just got other things going on. But when I got them, he actually just gave me these. They're just the steel ones. They don't roll or anything, but they have like a hook on the end. This one's really good for riser. And then I also can put it on this, and I'll actually just grab it like this, and I can just do hammer curls with it as well.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. And then, other than that, I don't have too much. All my other stuff for training, I have a membership at the gym, and I'll just do my curls and stuff there. I have a fat grip in my backpack along with that one that I had right here. These can actually just come off, and so I'll put them on bars or pull-ups at the gym. I really like my pull-ups as well. I will do pull-ups. I'm not too great at them yet, to be honest, so I just kind of go till I can't. But I'll do static holds. Ones that are really tough for me that I really try and get is I will cut my wrists on the top, and I'll just hang it fully extended like this. And I just slowly let the burn commence outwards like this. I'll do that once with the fat grips, and once is about enough. And then I'll take the fat grips off, and I'll do it with the smaller circumference.
Nice.
And then usually after that, my forearms are just burning. So.
Pretty much burnt out. Yeah. Man, yeah, good workout. Good workout for sure.
Yeah,
All
actually,
right.
sorry, I'm just gonna one more thing. At practice yesterday, they were just talking about how push-ups can be really effective too. So I think I'm gonna start adding a little more push-ups. Push-ups, they just say in this general sense, when you're doing that motion, can really help you keep your shoulder kind of inside and activated. So I think I'm gonna start implementing that a little more as well.
Yeah, big fan of push-ups. I just don't like doing them with my wrist bent back because I find it really strains on my tendons. So I'll do them either knuckle push-ups like I used to in karate, or those handles, those rotating spinning handles. I'll use those. I sure don't like it with the wrist bent back. That tends to give me some issues. So I don't know if they will for you or not, but for me, if I'm doing push-ups, that's how I prefer to do them now. But I've been at this a long time, so I don't know.
Actually, quick question for both you guys as well. On top of that, have you guys done a lot of knuckle push-ups? Like you said, you do them quite often. Riley, do you do them or not very often?
Yeah, I noticed something similar. Like I think it was when I started arm wrestling. It was just you get a lot of blood, or I don't know what. It just feels awkward because so much arm wrestling, you're focused on only this way, right? You feel like even putting it back like this right now, I just don't feel right.
Don't like
Yeah.
So like it just doesn't feel good. So I've completely switched to knuckle push-ups. Every time I've done them for the last 4 years I've been arm wrestling has always been knuckles. I find they do work good. I feel like the connection's really I do them quite often. So I do feel it works good for a connection, but yeah.
See, one of my favorite parts about push-ups is that it seems to hit the areas, the gaps. So when you're arm wrestling, you're going a few ways, but there's gaps in those movements where we're not working at full extension, right? Like where it's always here or here, even if you're losing, it's there, but you're never really at that full extension in like a pressing move. So I find that when I'm doing them, I get a lot of snaps and crackles and pops in the elbows and shoulders and that. But I also notice that I keep doing them, I'm doing them lots, that it tends to like really bring those, like fill those gaps. So I use it more as a rehab exercise than I ever do as a building exercise. But that's just a me thing.
With the knuckles, do you notice wrist stability? I've heard some people say that the knuckle push-ups, doing them often, you actually get a bit of wrist strength just from having to keep that stable wrist and really kind of focus on that pressure.
I agree with that if you're flexing the hand. So if you're not flexing through the hand, you have it like more limp through the fingers. I find that actually will cause compression in the wrist. But if I'm flexing through the hand and then it engages all the supportive tissue, then I couldn't agree more. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely going to give them a try for training. That's just one little thing I think I need to give a shot as well. So
it can't hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Especially at this point, right? I'm still learning a lot. And so whenever I hear new things, I'm always down to give them a try because even when you just look at all the top guys, they all do it differently and it all works for them. And I think a big thing for everybody who's new is to understand that Devon's formula, Todd Hutchings, Michael Todd, Levon, any big puller who you are interested in, their formula is probably not going to work for you. Like you can use little things that are going to help you, but when you find your formula, it's going to be a mixture of everything and everybody's, and you have to find what really works for you. that's just something that I've noticed throughout. Like I see a lot of guys who are really, really new and they're like, I want to be the next Devon. I want to be the next, Toddzilla. It's like, no, for sure. But you have to understand that you are not exactly that person. So you cannot do exactly what that person did and be where they are because you're different. You're anatomically different. Like just so many different things that you need to figure out. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I agree too. Like you got to take a little bit of everything. Like when I train, most of my base, similar to you, is like Devon, but I take a little bit from Michael Todd here and there. I take a little bit from Todd Hutchings here and there, and you got to be willing to experiment, right? Like you've said, just even since grade 9, you've done a lot of experimenting, like even with that water thing, right? Like you got to be willing to do that to know what works, what doesn't work. And, I think it's important to stick with things too. Like don't try it for a week and then, okay, this isn't good. Like stick with it for a decent period of time, see what's going see what's going well, see what's going poorly, adjust accordingly. And, ultimately I think you'll end up in the right place and as a better arm wrestler at the end. So,
Yeah. Well, and something I'm sure even Curtis can probably say this is he's probably failed more times for some things than we've even tried, or at least I've even tried.
Oh man.
And so
yeah.
you gotta remember that just because you see success, you always see success, but you never see the failures, right? And so just because you're failing behind the scenes doesn't mean other people aren't failing behind the scenes. So it's a lot of trial and error with those.
Yeah, I think realizing that is half the battle. Some people are just like, I've seen people come to practice, get, beat up on a little bit, and then just hard on themselves. Just like, oh, I should have been this, I should have been that, I should have been. I was like, no, you shouldn't have been anything. Just come and train, right? There's no winning here. Like you can't win even if you wanted to. Like I've been pinned a million times in practice. So what? So what?
Yeah. No, I like your one "Don't be like that guy" video.
Oh yeah.
I like videos like that just because it's kind of starts getting that point out there to people is that you as much as you can't win in practice, you can never lose in practice either.
Right.
You're always there. You're always learning. I could go to practice and not pin a single person. I'm walking out of that practice happy just because I know that maybe I couldn't pin them, but leaving that practice, I was a little bit closer to pinning them than when I showed up, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how I look at any training. It's a fun way I actually think about when I'm working out or something is every time I go to the gym, all the people that took a day off or that didn't go to the gym or for some reason were lazy, I'm now better than them if they were tied with me. Right?
Yeah, man. Healthy mindset. Way to go. That'll take you a long ways in this sport.
Yeah.
Don't lose that.
Yeah. No, I won't. I'm just excited. Like obviously you guys can probably see it and feel it in me. I'm just new to this still and I'm very eager to kind of get going on everything and just slowly evolving and it just makes me excited. So
yeah, and honestly, that's a big part of what got you on this show. No joke. Riley found you, and he's like, "Listen, we gotta have Dakota on the show. I think he's great, big up and comer. He's doing well and doing big things, and he just loves the sport." I'm like, "Perfect. When can we get him on?"
Yeah, I appreciate that, guys, as well. I will always say that having me is a great opportunity, like just for me in general, and so I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Big up and comer, passionate about the sport. Why not let everyone know you're out there, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, man. What else you got for us there, Dakota? I know you
All
have a
right.
list of things.
Yeah, I got a couple lists here. So just my question, how does Saskatchewan do their rankings? Do they have like a set ranking and it kind of adjusts, or is there anything going on for that yet?
That's a great question. Maybe one of our subscribers can tell us otherwise, but as far as I know, there isn't any right now.
Okay.
I don't know. If there is, I don't know where it is.
Yeah. Reason being for asking is Alberta just came out with their Jason Tebock finally produced the first set of rankings there. So I just wanted to see kind of where other provinces were on that. Yeah, we basically got a rough draft for the first one, I would say. The first couple tournaments, definitely even the rankings don't change per se, but they shook up and showed that, yeah, these rankings are awesome start, but there's definitely some people who are evolving, which is very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You have to I think the most accurate way to look for that would be the most recent provincials, just the results of that, right? And that's something you had to be there for. Like there's probably pullers that weren't there that should be ranked. They just weren't there. Whereas those Alberta rankings, I think they're taking them from a whole bunch of different events and they're kind of compiling them together. So they are fairly accurate. There's parts of them that definitely don't look accurate. But like I said, I think your dad's ranked like 23rd or something like that. And I was like, yeah, that's not
no.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
But,
actually, funny you said that because he wasn't upset, but he was like 23rd, and then he ended up squeaking out a win on 14 on the Alberta rankings there. So nothing will change yet, but it just really shows, and I think it's like Jason did really well with the rankings. Kathy, whoever was involved with those, they did great. But I think it just kind of shows that the rankings are definitely slowly just going to work themselves out, and it's going to be great for the province of Alberta, whoever's on there, to kind of slowly figure that out. And I think kind of everywhere who's got a lot of clubs and a lot of guys should start kind of looking towards getting a ranking going for just something to work towards, right?
Yeah, I like the idea of rankings, and like, of course, when you first kind of set them up, they're going to be a little off, but I think that little bit off is what adds some excitement and gives some guys to, go out there and prove that it's off.
Yeah.
Right? It encourages arm wrestling. I'm all for it.
Yeah, no point in complaining about the rankings, right? Like if you're ranked 30th and you think you're better than number 3, then this is another good thing about social media is add a little excitement into the sport. Call him out. Hey, I think I'm better than you. Other people see it, now they're curious too. It brings eyes on the sport, because especially if you do happen to see an upset like that, it brings more eyes. Like, wow, I never saw that was going to happen. Look at this guy. And then it's like, how's this guy going to come back, right? And it's just slow little competition. Everybody loves to see competition, and you just got to keep doing that, I believe. So,
yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I think they're doing a great job.
Yeah, another good incentive that Alberta just added, actually, it's called the Ladder League. Have either of you guys heard about it?
No.
I think I heard about it. I seen a post or something, but I don't think I read into it too deeply. So
basically what it is a point system. You pay a little bit of money. Certain percentage of the money you pay goes into your weight class, and the other pay is just kind of getting into the ladder league is exactly what it is. At the end of the season, which I think is March to March, by competing you earn points. If you're first in points in your weight class, you get a certain percentage of the money that everyone who paid back, and then second and third as well. So it just incentivizes you to go to the tournaments, compete in the classes, do better. And then if you happen to be number 1, 2, or 3, I think I don't know, I'm not going to say 4 or 5 because I don't know if they get anything as well. I think it's 1, 2, and 3. But you get a little bit of money back, and it's always nice to get a little bit of pay, right? Especially if you're good enough, and it just makes you want to get better. So,
that's really neat. Cool system. Yeah, no, we don't have anything like that here. That's very organized.
yeah. Actually, it just started. Like they just announced it, I think February, somewhere in there, and so it's just getting to the point where we're excited to see where it goes. So.
Sweet. Right on.
Yeah. Okay, so for my next question or topic, I guess, for your guys' provincials, I saw there was a bit of chatter on Facebook under one of the posts of a guy named Caden.
Caden Esmond?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
He won provincials, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I saw some chatter about him having a super match with Mason because they're around the same weight there.
I hadn't heard the chatter about that, but any match with Caden would be a good match. He's very strong, very technical. He's very competitive. I would like to see him in any match. Where did you hear about this?
Actually, it was on Facebook post. I forget which one, but it literally just happened like not even 2 hours ago when I was scrolling. But they're trying to set up. It might be at a Stronghold event, or it might be at like Alberta Mayhem in the mall.
Nice.
But I think they're looking at doing Mason versus Caden because as of right now, for that 177 class, unless there's a crazy upset, it's really looking like Mason is going to get the gold there. So I think it would be a little bit of a gold versus gold super match for the 2 provinces there.
Yes.
You never know.
Sorry. No, I'll let you finish.
Okay, I was gonna say you never know because they might see each other at nationals if we don't get that super match in before nationals. But I think even if they go at nationals just once, it's a good show for giving them a super match incentive of a little Alberta versus Saskatchewan provincials. Yeah,
Absolutely, I'd like to see that.
yeah,
Yeah, like I can speak on that one. I think like I was scrolling earlier and I did see that announcement. I made a comment. I just said set it up pretty much because I think Caden and Mason are so similar in how they pull. Like they don't look like anything, but they will tear you open. They will. Both of them will. It is
yeah.
such a good match. Like I can put the brakes on Caden, but he beats me. He does, right? Mason, I don't think I've ever pulled him, but looks very similar. Like Jason Tebock, Neil Looker, Marlon Hicks. I think I seen him beat at one point.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
those are big names, you know.
Yeah.
And like Caden Esmond, I don't think beats Kane Hemsing. I'm not sure if you know Kane Hemsing. I'm sure you know the name. He's a bad dude, and Caden gives him a lot of trouble in the beginning. So I think that's a really killer match. Yeah. I really want to see it.
No, it's gonna be interesting because, like, yeah, for example, like I was saying, strong, like Mason won the tournament on Saturday pretty decisively. Even Neil was at our practice yesterday, and he was like, yeah, like he's just simply better, right? Like I know Neil is really kind of gunning to get that match again because I think he's gonna do some different things. But right now, like it'd be cool to see that just because like it's two, I feel like powerhouses of their provinces for how much they weigh. And it's always fun to put them up against each other and kind of see, right?
Yeah, plus Caden's a little firecracker on the table when it gets interesting. So I mean that adds to
Okay.
the show.
No, that's perfect because Mason is about as calm as they come.
Oh, so polar opposites then.
Yeah,
They're nothing in the way.
Mason, you know what? It's hard to get that guy to just get a rise out of little anything, honestly. So I've seen him win, lose, and he's always humble and good. But I've also never seen someone be a firecracker around him in a super close match. So you never know. You might get to see something interesting there.
Hey, right on. Something to look forward to.
Yeah. Another super match I wanted to bring up was Chance Shaw versus Caleb Freeborn, June 4th at Nelson Torque Tournament. I just kind of wanted your guys' thoughts. I know Chance has been looking insane in powerhouse. He just lost to Todd Hutchings, but I feel like everybody's losing to Todd Hutchings right now. So it's, so I just kind of wanted thoughts from what you guys have seen anyways. Do we think Caleb's at that point, or like how do we feel?
I kind of want to see where they're both at. I see Chance Shaw face some guys where I'm like, okay, I think I'd be in that match too. And then he goes and takes on someone like Todd Hutchings, and I'm like, okay, so maybe Chance Shaw is ridiculously strong, and then he gets absolutely demolished, like most people do, by Todd Hutchings. And I'm like, well, damn, now I don't know. It's the same problem I have with Ryan Bowen. I don't know how good they are.
Yeah,
It's
no.
like I don't know compared to me. I don't know. I don't know where they're at. I got to get out there more clearly. But that'll be a good match because then I'll be able to. Odds are I'll be able to pull with Caleb before I'd be able to pull with Chance Shaw. So
Fair enough.
at least then I could kind of see where those strengths differences are. I always like to be able because all we can do most of the time is guess to know who's better than who because you just can't see all the matches you want to see, right? So it helps. I mean, me as a fan of the sport as well helps me get a better idea of kind of where guys really are for power and ability.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think in terms of the public eye, you've got to give the odd to Chance just because he's Chance. But I mean, I think if this was a right hand match, totally different story. Like Chance, that's kind of Chance's money arm. Left hand, like I feel like Caleb's fairly equal both arms. Like I don't think I mean, maybe he has a favorite, but I think he's pretty dominant with both when he goes and competes. Like he looks like he places pretty well even in both classes. Whereas Chance, he kind of strikes me as more of like a Michael Todd type, where it's like it's still going to be good, but it's nowhere near as right. You know what I mean? So I think that leaves the door open for Caleb to sneak in and potentially surprise some people. And if he does, even if he doesn't win the match, if he wins a match, he's going to be known. He's going to be known overnight. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, that's what I told Caleb. I was like, hey, either way, man, this is not a loss for you because you're getting your name out there. And that's a big step nowadays, right? As much as people got to be good pullers, you got to be a bit of an entertainer. You got to get your name out there. You got to kind of show people yourself. I feel like that's very important. And Caleb's been doing all the right things. He just had that super match in Lethbridge with the Houghtons. Well, Houghton and Joel, but I mean, he got to pull all the Houghtons at the tournament, which is also awesome. And I just feel like they were doing well. Dustin was the one in Ontario, correct?
I believe so. Yeah, he went out and trained with
Yeah,
Devon and
yeah, he was the one
all
doing
those.
really well in that's the one who had the super match with Caleb. He was doing really well for himself in Ontario. Just got Caleb a little bit bumped. I even know when Matt posted that match, people were like, okay, who's this Caleb guy? I think, Caleb managed to get himself on Chance's channel, surprises a bunch of people. I do have Caleb for that match. I really hope he can do it. Obviously, I'm a bit biased because he's from my club, but guy's nothing but nice to me. I have nothing but respect to him, and I really think he can pull that off. I'm really excited to see it. There's a lot of good matches of that Torque tournament, actually. Nelson set up a really good tournament for arm wrestling fans, so it'll be an interesting tournament all together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then yeah, that's really all my big questions. I got like a few fun ones to end it off, and then I know you guys got some fun ones, but I'll kind of
Hi.
just fire these at you, and you can answer them long or short, however. But who's your guys' favorite arm wrestler?
Ooh.
I think I got to be, I don't know if you'd call it lame. It's not really lame, but it's everybody's answer because he's kind of the guy that I found first. I would have to say Devon Laird because I wouldn't be sitting here right now if I didn't find him on YouTube one day. So I think I have a lot of favorites for a lot of different reasons, but if I have to pick an overall favorite, it's probably got to be Devon Laird for sure. So
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I have to go Devin Larratt too. But it fits in with my style. I like the showmanship. Though the internet usually hates me for it, I do enjoy the show. I enjoy the loud. I enjoy the yelling and the everything. So yeah, I really like the way he does that. But if you look, I was also fans of like Ali, right? Like Muhammad Ali, and big fans of all the people like that. So big showman people, right?
Like the
So
Conor McGregors and such?
what's that?
Like the Conor McGregors and such, kind
Right.
of?
See,
Yeah.
I like that. I like, I when I'm if I'm gonna take the time and I'm watching sports, I want to see a show. I can appreciate technique and I can appreciate everyone crushing it, doing silent and maybe having a bit of a smile. I can always appreciate that, but I find that for whatever it fires me up when they turn it into a bit of a show. Matt's great for that too. I love that stuff, man.
Yeah. No, you hit the nail. I'll answer it as well as for fun, but I got to go with Matt Mask personally. I got Devin as a second for me, just because I've obviously know him personally. I really appreciate everything he does for the guys around here. He is a great teacher. I know a lot of people only see the side of him who's on the table, who's yelling, but he's way more than that as a person. He showed me a ton, and he really let me come into the club with open arms, and so that's why I got to put him as my favorite for sure.
Good choice. Good choice.
My next one is if you had to pick one exercise to only do for a week, that's an arm wrestling exercise, that's not practicing with another person, what exercise are you gonna do?
Multi spinner.
Yeah.
100%.
tough one.
3-inch handle. Yeah, 3-inch handle. Get some sandpaper, whatever, on that thing. Grind it down. Have your strap around there. That's it. That heavy, thick rotation, that'll work. In a top roll, that works at the start of your match. No matter what, that roll in, being able to, and as it's trying to open you up, you're building the opposites, right? You're building all out here. So,
Yeah.
I mean, for me, that's an easy choice.
Okay, for sure. I actually want to get a multi spinner. I don't
Build
have
one.
one personally yet, but yeah.
Make one, man. It's laughably easy. I'll send you a design thing. You
Okay,
can make one.
perfect. I would appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a drill and some scissors
Yeah.
and some glue, you can do this.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, I'll send it to you after the show.
Okay.
I think that's
Riley?
a tougher one for me. Just because I do just a lot of band work, that's mostly what my training consists of. Like I don't have a pulley yet. I don't have a whole lot of stuff I go with. So I think my number one would just have to be a riser. I honestly think just a riser with a band, just keeping my knuckle high. If I can only do one thing for a week, I would definitely be lacking in the other areas. But I mean, that's the whole point of the question. But definitely a riser. I think just staying high. Close second would be like my cup, but I think just a riser, just staying high, staying over top of everybody, and you can kind of transition into anything kind of from there, from a nice rise. So I think that would be it for me.
Yeah.
While you're doing those the riser exercises, Riley, with bands, are you wrapping the bands around the fingers? Are you just kind of hooking the band and then just taking, like, you're just hanging on to really one side of the band? How are you looping that through?
I like to wrap it a whole bunch as much as I can, just to keep it nice and tight. Like, I don't know, that's just kind of how it's always felt the best to me. I feel like if I just loop it around once, I don't feel, even if I'm doing a light day, it just doesn't feel like I'm really getting much out of it. So I like to wrap it around a decent amount, and it just feels tighter. And then I just make sure I'm still getting that movement, right? But that's generally how I like to do it. That's how I feel like it benefits me a little bit more personally. I don't know if there's different ways that other people have found for them, but personally, that's for me. How about you?
Yeah, how about you, Dakota? You got a...
Oh, I would probably honestly, and it's just because I'm really lacking in it right now. Like out of all the things I work on it the most is just the belt with the pronation exercise. If I had only a week just to do that, because I feel like if I focused on that strictly for a week, it would start getting built up to where everything else is on me. And with the move I like to do, pronation is very important, but for some reason I'm just lacking in it right now, and so I would really build that up and get where I needed to be with that.
Yeah, if you would have asked me like 15, 20 years ago, that would have been my favorite too. Absolutely. Then you get that, you build that goose egg pronator in there, and then
Yeah.
then other things start becoming more attractive. But I hear you, man, with the top roller, long lever. Yeah, yeah, I can see where you'd pick that.
Yeah. And then another one, if you had to show someone one arm wrestling match to get them really into the sport, which match would you pick?
Ooh.
Sorry, I'm ending with a doozy just because I want to get you guys thinking a little bit.
Man, I would almost say the series several years ago now, Ron Bath, Devon Larratt. There was a super match there, and that was epic because it showed so much range of technique and back and forth, and pin on one side, pin on the other, and these guys are exhausted and they were down to, like, I don't know how much they had left in them by the end, but I I think I've watched that match more than any other. I don't know what year that was, but that's an epic match. It's all over you. It's on YouTube. It's great.
Yeah, that's so tough. Like I'm still thinking. There's so many running through my head.
Oh, I know, it's crazy.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's so hard. I think one of my favorite matches would be, I would maybe like, if I could pick two almost, like I would want to show them a little bit of diversity. Like I want to show them like lightweight. I'd show them anything with Jeff Hale.
Okay.
Like anything with Jeff Hale. I think it's like just the intensity mixed with just the sheer technique and stuff behind it too, I think would be really grabbing. But for some reason, one of my favorite matches ever is WAL, Marcio Barbosa versus Krasimir Kostadinov. You seen that one?
Yes.
For some reason, that's
choice.
one of my favorite matches. Yeah. Yeah.
Good choice. And what do you like about that match so much, Riley? What are some aspects you really like about that one?
I'm not sure. I just find that like I think it shows that WAL, everybody paints WAL as this whole like, oh, you can cheat, you can do whatever. And I feel like that match, like there was zero controversy with that match. Like those two dudes, I think they barely talked. So I think, anybody that's currently in the community, they probably see this whole perspective on WAL being just like horrible for some reason, right? And I think you show them that match and be like, no, it's not. Like you can go there and have a match just like that, right? It was almost waff. It looked like there was no controversy whatsoever, and it was awesome, right? So that's kind of the reason I like that, is I kind of want to show them that to kind of steer them away from that whole perspective. But I could also go and show them like Devon versus Jerry. That match was filled with it, and it's still awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I was gonna say that one, and I picked that one for a few reasons. I like the fact that shows that not always like the bigger guy, like Devon's obviously a big guy, but that the smaller guy can still be stronger, because they go deep inside of several points of that match, and Devon comes around. And another reason I picked that match is just because that's one I can see happening again really soon here. Jerry just called out the top 5 in North America and said, I'll double my money for whatever you think you can do. And Devon answered and said he's in after Levon. And so I think that's one that you show people, you kind of get them interested, and then you're like, just wait, you think that was good? In a couple months, we're probably going to be able to sit down somewhere and watch it on pay-per-view again. So.
Yes. That was, great match. Yeah, great competitors.
I think that's an excellent one to bring up too. Is that's one I never thought of was, that's one that excellently kind of displays the whole showmanship of just the character coming in, but also where Jerry, being way bigger, dives into a press and Devon just catches him palm up and brings it back, right? And it's like you're not going to expect that watching it for the first time, but it happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell of a match. Right on. Anything else from you there, Dakota? Any other quick ones, or that's what you got?
Yeah, a quick one just popped in my mind. Devon or Levon? Just quick, easy end one. And sorry, how many rounds to how many rounds?
I think
Levon takes round 1, and then a close round 2. How many rounds is the thing?
It's best of 6, I think.
Okay, well, that's even better. So, man, even if that horsepower is enough, because I've seen in time and time again where Devon will be up against someone super strong, he'll be milking him in the hand, chattering away, but you can watch him manipulating the hand and tiring out the fingers and blah, blah, blah. So I think it's going to take him a couple rounds of that to be able to get to a point where he can put the brakes on, and then you would see the potential like transfer of victories. That's just the way I see it going, just because that's usually kind of how it goes if Devon's against someone really, really strong.
Yeah, I agree. I think I think it depends on when Devon gets to stop, right? Like when or if, I guess. Like you can say if too. I think he will. I think there's a potential that it could be like 4-2 Levon, where he goes 4 straight and then he's still trying for his 6-0, but Devon's got it by then, right? He, like in that last 2 matches, he stops it. I actually think it's going to go to like the 7. I think it's going to be 4-3 for Devon at the very end. I think Levon's going to go 3, and right when he needs to, Devon's going to find that stop. And once he gets it, it's over. He's going to get the 3, and then they're going to go to like a deciding 7th, and it's going to be 4-3. That's what I would love to see.
Yeah, make it even better. I think it's going to be a lot of hand manipulation off the start. I know it's a 30-second grip with the rules that are right now. They're subject to change, I'm sure, because like I know Levon's not very happy with the whole King of the Table 3 change and everything. But assuming they stay the same, I think it's going to be like every match we're going to see a 30-second grip up of Devon just pressuring fingers, and then depending if that strap rule stays or not. I think Devon's going to be strong enough to get a slip 100%. I think if Devon was not strong enough to get a slip, it doesn't even matter if that match goes to a strap or not. But yeah, it really, like you guys both said, it really all depends when Devon gets to that point where he keeps the endurance up enough to bleed Levon enough. I totally agree with both you guys there. Right. I'm going to go 4-2 Devon. It's my pick.
4-2, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be something close to that, yeah.
I think Levon wins the first one. I think I actually think Devon is going to get a little bit of a stop in the second round, but I don't think it's going to be enough to come back. I think it's going to be too far down. I think Levon's going to get his shoulder involved and win that one, kind of like we've seen Michael Todd do to Devon before, like in the old Arm Wars days. And then I think by the time he's pumped that hand up for, 90 seconds at that point, not including the strap grip up and the referee's grip, I think we'll see round 3 be a big kind of shift in the whole match.
Yeah, good perspective, man. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, well, as we get to the tail end of this episode, we're incorporating something new into these little interview sessions. And Dakota, we have some questions for you. Now, with these, you can answer with one or a few words, but usually stick to that one-word answer. I'm going to throw some names at you, and you let me know what you think. And I know you haven't had any time to think about this, so it should be interesting.
Yeah.
All right, training with Matt Mask is what?
Awesome.
Awesome. When I say the name Ryan Espy, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Left-handed machine.
Machine. Steroids in arm wrestling.
I'd say banned. I don't like them. Yeah.
Fair enough. John Berzink.
Goat.
The movie Over the Top.
I want to say awesome again, but I'll say inspirational. We'll say that one.
I like it. And the future of arm wrestling looks
great.
Looks great. Riley, you got anything to add there? Good?
Chris Gobby. No, I'm kidding.
That's a cut. Cut.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
No.
I'm just kidding. No, that was excellent. That was excellent.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
Well, Dakota, it has been an absolute pleasure to get the chance to talk to you, to meet you. I really honestly can say I only see great things in your future. You're very smart, very well thought out, on a great path. Lots of good things to say about people, a stand-up guy. I really can't say enough good things about you, man. I'm glad I get to introduce you to many, many Canadian arm wrestlers out there. You're going to do awesome, man. I hope I get a grip up with you one of these days. And
soon, for sure. It's also, it's been a pleasure for me as well. I appreciate you guys having me on. I know I've said that already, but yeah, it was great to meet you as well. I've met Riley before, obviously, but it's great to see him again. And I'm sure we're going to do this again soon. We'll see where we all evolve and how we get to and where things go, and then we'll probably be back on this episode again and get to see even more people, which will be nice.
Yeah, would really like that, man. And when you get your YouTube channel up, you let us know, and we'll help you broadcast that out to everybody, man. May as well, right? Let's share this sport with everybody.
Exactly. I think that's what needs to start happening. Is we got a lot of people in the sport. I think with a lot of people who know a lot of people who just don't tell a lot of people, to put it in so many words. So
absolutely, yeah. I love it, man. Well, that's it for this episode, everybody. Thank you for coming back to Over the Top TV. We're gonna keep bringing you guys new arm wrestlers from all over Canada, new, experienced everybody, and just bring this big family together, the sport we all love so much. Until then, I guess I'm gonna ask for a grip and rip, you guys.
I gotta throw one thing in while we're gripping and ripping. I gotta throw one thing in there. The next person I want to see on this podcast is Ty from Lethbridge.
Ty, I think Sickles, right?
Yeah, nice. Big up and comer. I know everyone wants to see him on here, and I hope he can make the time to do that for you guys because he's a stand-up guy. So. All
right, well, we're gonna tell him that you sent us after him. So.
Yeah.
Right on. That's it, you guys. Thank you very much, and we'll see you guys soon.